Yep.
Good to go?
It worked. New app. Yeah, I had to take it off and re-download the app.
Yours?
Okay. Did you put that in as a problem report though?
Okay.
Motion to adopt agenda?
Second.
Okay. All right, Jim, you want to lead us up before Jose gets into it? Anything new?
I have no comments for this particular meeting.
But you'll answer questions if you have questions.
Absolutely will. I'm here to support you.
Then we get to the GoGov piece, I think, that'll be good too, so. All right, Jose, what's going on?
So I received an update yesterday from Freshie Sites. They're done the sink. The sink is complete. There are two items that they're gonna address. One is the change for the logo. That says 25 years to the regular logo, and the other one was to sync up the events calendar. They're not charging us anything extra. They just want to make sure that the events calendar is as current as it can be. At that point, they're gonna schedule the cutover to that new site. I know that Jim had a question about a source code. Lauren had told you?
Yeah, someone commented to me that they looked at the source code on the current website and found some remnants of a hack.
Right.
In the background. So I said, hold on, wait till we get the new one up. We'll look at it together.
Okay.
So that was that.
They want to do the cutover, by they meaning GM leadership wants to schedule the cutover for next week. And the reason is because of the situation that has happened is we can't upload any files. And if we keep uploading files, then we have to sync up and it makes no sense. If we cut over, we bite the bullet. Now we just have to just put in everything that's left over that remains and make it current and make the adjustments that Krista had recommended in her documents.
So when is Freshie Sites going to be ready to cut it over?
They're ready for Monday,
They're ready for
to
Monday.
start on Monday.
And did someone else told you it needed to be later than that?
No, it doesn't have to be later than that. It's just making sure that you're all on the same page, and if there's any opinion, any suggestions, I'm all ears.
Later the better.
Better. Yeah, we agree with that.
I'm not on the committee, so I can't always.
Neil, you good with that?
What's with this today, Jim?
We'll talk later.
Less is more.
And that's it for.
And they got all that syncing, all that stuff, we just paid them and they did it.
Yeah, they did it and they did it on time and they kept up with me and kept me updated. So there was no issues with Freshie Sites. It was really the site itself. The site had a lot of problems and they were correcting it as we requested it, and then it was just.
Yeah, good. This Corbin on?
Corbin?
Yep, he's on.
Yep, sorry, I'm just getting signed in.
Yeah, so let's not spend too much time on the EV charging. There was no mention of it in the last board meeting with, I don't think any questions asked or from anybody on it, so we're just up to date on the reports.
Yep, everything
Yep.
from July is updated as of yesterday. I was able to pull it all.
Okay, and that's in team.
Yep, Teams. And then if we want to post it anywhere, we can just probably do a screenshot or download a PDF and then just post it on the site. It's probably the fastest for now.
Perfect, awesome, Corbin, thank you.
Mhm.
Anything to you, Jim, about it that's been further?
Well, we don't have a proposed agenda for the board meeting in August, which is when it would come up next.
Okay.
There's a workshop, but it's specifically about the budget. It's next week. So if I hear something, I'll let everyone know.
I'll just make one comment, and it's not like the whole discussion on, but when I spoke to Greg, about it, he said CCDD was okay moving them. I think everybody is. He said they're not paying for it, that somebody would have that funding from somewhere else to be able to move their locations to move them elsewhere. They have a spot at Stetson or over by Columbia, they're okay to do that. Just, he said they wouldn't fund it, so anything, down the road that want to move those charges would have to be funded from somewhere.
Well,
Yeah.
check in with Greg on that when I get a chance.
Okay.
Thank you.
Because I asked him, would this be something CCD would pay for, and he goes, no. I said, yes, sir.
I mean, the big thing for me, like not knowing the history until the last meeting was that like, I kind of thought they were in a weird spot too, until I found out there was originally supposed to be a gate there. I feel like if you don't want to move them, people would probably be supportive of a gate for the parking lot. So like moving back to some of the original plans and putting that in versus trying to move things, and then you can get rid of that stupid bike rack thing at the front too, which is kind of an eyesore. So just an alternative if it starts coming up, like making sure to educate people, because that was a total mind shift change for me, just learning that one fact.
Yeah, I think for our part, for our team, and I've had a few discussions with people on our team about, is that they can come to us and, people say, just what's the information, who's using the charging, if they're gonna move one, what's the percentages, level 2, level 3, I think that does fall on us. And that's just for information. So thanks, Corbin, for getting that, and that's, I think, all we're really, pleased with us, so. Okay.
And I owe you some documentation for that, which is the Duke Energy stuff.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah. I'm always-
So let's move on to the exciting stuff,
I,
so we.
I will say just one thing real quick. One thing I noticed, so in the report, when you're doing the interactive piece, just by looking at like this time last year, they're being used a lot more now than they were last year. It was actually quite interesting to go back and just go back by a year and just see how high the trends have gone. So if anybody wants to just poke around and see it, like I said, you can go by month and by year and just start tracking the usage of it. So, and the failure rate's been about the same, which is interesting as well. It's never really too high. It's always pretty consistent around like 10-20%.
And level 2 gets used a lot. I looked for a couple of months, it's just used as much as level 3. I mean, it's a lot cheaper also, man. But Corbin, just to make you laugh, when it was brought up about how many charges we have here in Celebration, and somebody brought up that Disney has a lot less, I told my wife, and my wife's like, well, they're at Disney right now showing presentations how Celebration has more charges than we have. 'Cause eventually everybody knows there's gonna be more charges, so.
Yep.
So
Yep.
can I ask you a question on something you just said?
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be a different price. They're supposed to be the same price per kilowatt hour.
It's only 1 meter, so it is definitely the same price.
Okay.
But I think you meant.
Well, they may be charging something, they may
Well, I
have
think it
changed the
depends,
charging
too.
amount. Should be 16 cents or 15 cents?
I think it's less if you do level 2 though.
Should
It
be.
should not be,
Okay.
no.
No. So we had set up, I do want to make one additional comment for you to tell them what you did a year or so ago to make sure it was on Google Maps. I can't remember what you
Oh, yeah.
did. And
400,000
the
hits.
views that you got since then?
Yeah.
More
400,000.
400,000 people have viewed our charges on Google.
It's a good sized city right there.
So Tom and I and Jose met with Gallagher and DMP, and I was super excited sitting here. I mean, besides us all geeking out, just the prospect of the things that it can do for the community. So Jose, you want to give me feedback between the two different ones that we've seen? We all felt like there was big differences between the two companies. Are we gonna get a third one?
Yes, we are gonna get a third one. We're gonna schedule that 2 weeks from now. Scott is looking, so Scott is from ProTech Solutions, and basically what he does is he'll scope out different vendors. And they'll pretty much do the wiring and the labor. Right. So they'll do the wiring.
Heads up, there's glitter in that chair.
Sorry.
Glitter.
Once you get it, there's no, no, just burn it down.
So that's gonna be scheduled in 2 weeks, so we're gonna look up for the calendar. Gallagher was amazing. It's an amazing product. It had all the features that we were looking for, in order to justify, using the Bluetooth technology for our card access. It'll do complete shutdown of a facility in the event that there's an emergency, like active shooter situation. It'll tie into the milestone system. And allow us to, every time, if someone looks to use the key access, it takes a picture, sends a notification. More importantly, it has custom fields that addresses the vaccination piece that you were talking about, Krista. So yeah, DMP, On the other hand, their hardware was more versatile, but the features on the software front was not. And I love the fact that you didn't need to buy a whole bunch of controllers and place them in every location. You could have just bought all the controllers and placed them here. And with a networking component, you were able to just plug it into the next location.
Yeah, the big one to me, we think it's around 15,000 people who have access, either cards or digital. And with Gallagher, CSV file spreadsheet, fill it out, dump it in a folder and it'll create the accounts for you. DMP was a 1 by 1. So I said, don't you have any big customers? And they said, yeah. I said, what if you just laid off 500 people? You gotta go in there 500 times and delete the person? And he said, yes. So which I thought was like, that's not gonna work.
So all in all, Gallagher seems to be the front runner.
Plus they had a 5-year warranty, up to 10 if you wanted on everything. DMP was,
The initial load, like how often do you plan to put hundreds of things in there at once? Aren't they adding them to the system when you set up your card? Like it is one at a time anyway?
No, so when you do the initial bulk upload, you're taking all the
You're
rest.
past the initial bump up.
Then
So he said that was because like lay off 500 people and take stuff
Yeah.
off. So like, we're not past the initial upload. We don't do mass
No, we
things. Okay,
wouldn't do.
I just wanted to clarify on that.
But if we did it through DMP, then we would have to go through them directly and they would have to do the bulk.
Yeah.
They have like a concierge service.
For that.
yeah, but I think with all the apartments now, I'm saying all the other ones, the Del Mar they've just built. And to be able to have a digital one now for kids with phones, I think somebody moves in, they have 6 people, they'll send it over. So if you get a week, 5, 10, 15, 20 people with 4 residents in there, send it over, you could be looking at maybe 100 entries.
They don't have to come here to get a card?
Well, when this happens, you're not gonna have to, you can do
You don't
it
have
digital,
to.
you won't have to come here,
Everything
right? So
goes-
now when you're getting all these names coming in, once these 5 people signed up, I just moved here, then they won't be coming here, right? So I think that, right, in bulk coming in can start to build up. So you get a batch of maybe a couple hundred now coming in, so I think that's, to me, I think that's.
I think the other point that was good was that it's concurrent licensing. If you go the DMP route, you pay a perpetual license for that individual, and let's say that resident decides to leave, you would have to then pay again for a new license. Versus if the individual, if the resident leaves, you can then reassign that
Even
license.
if you,
to somebody
if you
else.
upgraded your phone, I get my new phone next month, the 15's coming out, I gotta pay for another license.
It's literally married to the MAC address of the phone.
No, I don't like that.
No, we don't know what the pricing for theirs, they wouldn't tell us. This is
So
negotiable.
the good news is I got both quotes,
Oh, you did?
but I want to combine it with the cost of the project management piece and the hardware installation. Then I'll give you all the numbers and then you can read it out. But I will tell you, it's not a cheap endeavor.
But you'll break it out so we can see.
We'll break it
where-
out by site. Your
No, I
quote,
mean by function. We got hardware costs, we got the ongoing.
yeah,
maintenance
so
costs.
for the hardware itself, it's gonna be line item by line item for every location, including ours. Yeah. So, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, they had mobile, they showed us mobile access too, where you can have another phone and you just take their phone and hold it to somebody else's phone as they're walking in, say like 4th of July. And up to, they said the Bluetooth 15, 20 feet.
Yeah.
People just walk by and they can see on their phone. Yes, yes, yes.
Very good.
But 4th of July, I was sitting there and people trying to, I don't have my card, can I show my license? And the line is sort of back.
It's so funny because he just literally sat there for a few minutes and he did this. And he goes, "This will work on your door now." He set it up super quick. It was very easy. You're not married to any specific card type. You can use the existing cards if you wanted to. So,
Well, we won't have to replace the cards, that's a big deal.
yeah.
Any questions on that? Or, I think, I've talked to, I don't know, 50 friends of mine in Celebration, and they're all super excited about it, especially with their kids and using our facilities. And
Now you mentioned that. They will integrate with owner. They will do the legwork to make sure that your card ID will inject into ONR and you'll be able to use it on one app as opposed to two.
And the day is Gallagher when you say.
They is Gallagher, sorry, yeah. DMP won't.
We need to get these third guys in so we can get on with this.
yeah, and they're close to putting it in the wallet too, they said.
It'll be on the Apple.
All right, so to me, we've had a bunch of conversations with GoGov, and I think there's 2 conversations going on with GoGov. I think one is the back end features that we want, the APIs that you want, I think that's one conversation, but I have just as many conversations, and Tom and I had one the other day, it's like, what's the experience for the user? Right, so I think that, and Greg and I spoke about that too, so I think both conversations are going on, and I don't know if one's more important than the other, what features are available, what the experience is gonna be like. But I think both are important. I think, Jim, you have feelings too on that?
I always have feelings. Thoughts, I don't have feelings, but, yeah, so the challenge is not that you have two apps. The challenge is that the user has to know which one to put it on. And if they don't, we're in the same situation we're in now, except double, right? Because they'll be getting stuff that you're gonna hand over to us. We'll be getting stuff to hand over. We'll be getting stuff that we have to hand over to them through like an email, right? So one of the things that we talked about is the back end. So in this last meeting, we were able to see the back end.
Yeah.
There's actually a dashboard, I guess, in which you can see all of your work.
And you can run reports, can be
Were
run.
you on that?
Yeah, I was on it.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah.
I got a little late, but I got on.
Okay,
Both
good.
reports.
And you saw the automation.
Yeah.
How they kind of map that out and stuff.
So when you say the automation, can you elaborate a little bit?
Oh, sorry. In terms of like when they choose a problem, who it goes to.
Okay, so that's where the confusion was for me,
Okay,
because when we said automation, we're talking vendor specific or third party outside of CCDD and Grand Manners or CROA. So I thought that that would be automated and do a direct SMS message to vendor A, because they have that capability. It's just an add-on feature. It's not built in. They would have to customize that setup.
yeah.
The good news is that it is capable, so you
Yeah, we didn't
don't,
ask that.
you don't have to force them to install the app, in other words.
Yeah.
It just sends the message to whoever needs it, whether it's via email or via a phone, SMS, or a push notification. It'll do it without the app. And that's why I thought that's what ultimately we wanted, you know, for the outside world. I mean, in this case, meaning vendors.
I mean, to me, it looks the same, even with the, it says service request, you put it in, you put the information you sent, and then the back end just figures it out, right?
Yes.
Right now, so I think it's for a user, it's gonna look the same either way. It just how's it gets routed on the back end to the right people on it, right?
Right, did you understand my point about, you know, we have to go back and forth? I think,
Between what?
I'm sorry, so here's an issue that's
Right.
at a pond.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Hopefully everyone knows here at CCDD, but
Nope.
that's a small percentage of people that know that, right? And so you'd have to know which app to go to.
Why are we having two apps? That's why I'm still stuck on that, because
Okay,
I'm
okay.
adamantly against two apps.
So, okay. So, what happened is we actually worked in the technology committee before with Greg and CCDD to look at alternatives. We're able to come up with something, and, so they did their own research and they chose it because they feel like they're not, it's not meeting their needs, and they have quite a few tickets, right? And so they went out and looked at this, so.
So this is, I,
CCDD, ECDD, and Canoa are all going to go.
Yes.
No.
But CROA has not agreed.
we're not agreeing, but possibly.
Okay.
What you guys owe the board is a recommendation for this next meeting, which is on August 23rd.
So can I just give my 2 cents on it? At first I was on the fence because I didn't know what the purpose is behind this. And it was really to say, hey, are we gonna stick to seller services? Or go, but owner came in as a different experience, right? It's a full-fledged, full experience. You have your forums, you have your service requests, you have your voting, you have your committee chat groups. So, and you have your governing documents and everything inside of owner. However, being realistically, GoGov is a more specialized niche product that's really tailor-made for that. I can disable the service management piece on ONR if the goal is, you know, we're gonna stick with GoGov. It can be disabled and it won't be
Right,
accessible.
what I would suggest, and Neil, I know I talked about this morning. So when you're in the Disney app and you want to reserve your park, you click it and it takes you to the website.
Yep.
I would like to see the service part of the owner app, that was gonna go, if you click it, it then takes you to GoGov website, and you can still submit.
But
That's-
it will take you to the website. What will happen is you'll have both apps installed anyways. If you click on the link, it's just gonna open that app.
If you have the app
You
installed.
just want that one
There's
single user interface and then let the user interface decide.
Yeah.
Because what I think is, I asked the number, Greg told me there's a couple hundred service tickets a month, okay, so it's a couple hundred. I don't know what percentage of people do it. I think eventually, a year from now, the owner app is gonna be used by way more people because you can do so much more stuff in it. Those people that might not even heard of cell service or GoGov, there's a pool chair thrown in a pool, they wanna commit a service, submit a service ticket, they know the owner app, they use it every day. Oh, I can just do this instead of downloading another app, and then if it takes us over to GoGov, I think it might be.
Well, one of the things that we can look at, and we haven't honestly asked about this, but a lot of ticketing systems can take a ticket through an email. If that's the case, then we can put it in owner, have it actually go into
To
GoGov.
GoGov,
Yeah.
So
right.
they actually can do that now with seller service. So that means that if I can do it with seller service, I can do it with
Right.
GoGov.
Yeah.
And it's
So-
really just saying, give me an email account that's associated with that ticket.
Mhm.
And whenever I put that ticket, it'll route to that particular person in GoGov.
But realistically, we have a timeline with GoGov, like they're moving towards it. We've got to make a decision and move.
So-
So
so-
that's-
so-
sounds like there's
so
so many things going
That
on.
has actually changed.
So hang on, guys, hang on.
Okay.
Can the people on the phone go a little bit? So I think we're looking at this from multiple different angles. At the end of the day, let facts is facts. CCDD wants at some point us to pay the portion of the bill for, it, right? Today, Jose, maybe you have this answer or you don't. From a manpower perspective, what is it costing us today when we use seller service, someone initiates a ServiceNow ticket? Because this is all GoGov is ticketing services. That's all it is. ServiceNow, for those familiar with it, it's similar setup. So Jose, does it cost us manpower today when someone submits a request that needs to be routed to CCDD?
No.
You
It
have
doesn't.
to do it.
Okay, okay.
No.
Okay.
It costs
hang on.
manpower because
So
you
from a-
take your time
So from, if it's in the app and it's already routing to CCTV.
in their
Oh, no.
seller service. We're
It's-
talking seller
Oh, no,
service right
instead
now.
of service, yes, it does take manpower because we have
Okay.
to then click on it and drag it and route it to them.
Yes.
Okay, so here's what we should be looking at. How do we not pay for GoGov? If that's what CCDD wants to use, that's fine. But if we can route our request to them somewhere else, that's fine. I don't want us to be paying for, our goal here by getting rid of cell service is to reduce costs. Why should we pay for owner? And I know owner is not much, but what's the bill, John? What is it? In 2 years, it's gonna cost us what, 15 grand a year? And they can't force us to go there.
Well, and also seller service is a technical obsolescence. There's that as a.
I'm not saying stick with cell service. We're
No, but
going
like
somewhere.
that's also part
How
of the
much
decision
is-
process, not just cost cutting.
Look like 15 grand a year?
Go 16 grand.
17 grand.
17 for everybody, but
Thanks,
only
Tom.
Yeah, and they divide that by 4.
divided up by 4, so 17K divided by
And we're
4.
getting a 20K credit for us paying for seller service previously. So, seller service is $9,500. And it's gone up $2,000 since we first started looking at it on the technology committee. It is approaching end of life. Supposedly they have something that's superseding it, but it is another product.
Right.
Let's be clear about that. It's not an upgrade. It's not a redo of cell service, so it could be significantly different. One of the things that I want you to know that I talked to Tom Tucson about, I said, you know, one of the things that's going to be challenging here is you guys don't really have an IT person on your staff. So the person who makes most sense to be the sysadmin for this is Jose. And he agreed with it, but he, you know, it hasn't been worked out, but I think that's part of it too, is we need to have equivalent access. We need to have an IT person in charge of security.
I have a little different perspective on this cost thing. We're gonna spend $17,000 a year out of resident funds. We are Residents Celebration. We're part of CCDD, we're part of FROA. The 17,000 is spent, period. If we don't get on board with it, it's still 17,000, we're still spending the same money. So it's the same pockets. So whether or not we get on board or not, it's not gonna save us 1 cent as residents. In fact, it's gonna cost us, because we go a different way. We're gonna pay for we're gonna pay for the 17,000 as residents, plus however different direction we go, we'll pay for that. So, and we're gonna inconvenience the residents, because we're gonna make them make a decision when they pull out their phone as to what app they're gonna report this problem on. They don't know. They don't know what.
So Tom, you're saying whether we go with it
So
or
the
not.
17,000, CCDD already decided that, so the residents are paying that regardless. It's just a matter of whether it's divided by 3 and included in your CCDD assessment, or if it's divided by 4 and it's through CCDD and CROA.
So
The
Jim,
residents are still gonna pay it.
so Jim, there's no way to back out of that at this point.
Nope.
No.
No, not.
CCDD already said 17,000, that's what's
CCDD has
happened.
already passed that.
That's happened.
They passed the resolution, they passed the purchase. So, and that's what they're going forward.
It's a matter of whether it's divided by 3 or 4.
Yeah, the other thing that Tom and I talked about is kind of something that you mentioned, I think, and Neil mentioned as well, that, initially, the last one, and at their last CCD meeting, at our last board meeting, it was kind of like this, right? It's like, we want to go and implement it. We're like, we have questions. They're like, we want to go and implement it. So I talked to Tom Tucson and I told him the challenge on our side, and he talked to Angel. And so they don't have a drop dead date to implement it. They want to implement it right. They want to implement it with PROA. That's their goal. And I'm building on.
The 17,000 is spent, and there's no technical, we have not found a technical limitation or technical reason why we can't use this tool for problem reporting community-wide. Why, what possible justification would we have to suggest asking a resident to have two problem reporting apps and then be able to know which one to use? What would be our justification?
Tom, Tom, you were there at the demo. Does it have you played with Owner? Does it have the capabilities that Jose is suggesting? The ability to book amenities, obviously the service, the
That's
service.
owner.
No,
We're just talking about one app for service requests.
Hang on a second, hang on, please hear my question. My question is, you guys have seen the demo of GoGov. Does it have the capabilities of Owner?
No, it's not.
It's different.
It's not.
It has more capabilities than Owner related to.
Service request.
It's a niche product. It's really specialized in service requests.
It's a problem reporting system.
There would still
Right.
be owner for those other things you're asking for.
Well, again, I'm hearing some different, and this is where we as a group have to make a recommendation. And again, I'm going back to what Tom was saying. He doesn't want the experience to be 2 apps, and I agree with him there. So is the solution now, Jose, coming back to what you suggest, without having a grand managed person manually push things to GoGov, is there ability, APIs we can build that integrates with it?
Yes. Owner does have an open framework, so their APIs are open.
A quick question. So just to be clear, Owner, when you submit a request, what control do you have over the back end of how that's routed, how people can see it?
We can, and I had shown John, we can set the route points to where it goes. Now, when you want 2 apps to communicate, that's more of a development piece, but we can speak to Owner about it.
So, but does it, so can I log in as a person who works on the service requests and see?
Yeah, we can grant you that kind of access and those kind of rights to be able to run reports and do all that.
Okay, so it's not just an email that's sent out, it actually tracks this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
well-
when you're like thinking about like, I'm in the app, okay, like I have plenty of other apps, talking about the Disney one, perfect example. I go in there and I hit service requests, it just sends me to GoGo.
Correct.
All the service requests,
that's-
everything is in GoGo.
Correct.
We don't need 2 apps for service requests.
And I think
And we don't need to
that's-
spend the money to
Well, I don't
build
think
the
anybody's saying
integration.
have 2 apps for service.
I think that's
apps.
what,
No,
Emil's
he's just
asking.
I think the question is, most people I know in Sunbury don't even know what cell service is. They're like residents that love to submit service requests. They do it, you look into things, it's the same person doing it over and they just like doing it. Most people don't even know what cell service is, so they don't submit that many service requests at all. But they will, I just think there needs to be some information in the app, in the owner app, that just says either download GoGov or you click it and it'll take it to their website or something.
There you go.
That's all I'm saying. It has to be something, because
There you go.
that, to me, everybody's gonna know that app because your ID card's gonna be in it.
Yeah, and then we don't have
There
to
you go.
worry about trying to build integration and API and spending more money to make CCDD
Yeah,
send
no.
stuff to CROA and CROA send more stuff to
GoGov can handle all
CCD.
the back end stuff.
All of it.
There
It's
you
just
go.
a route. It's just a
Just-
route.
right.
The request is made through owner. It's just routing to GoGov, and then all the reporting and all the finalization gets done.
No request through owner.
So
I click the
none,
link and I go to
it's just a
GoGov.
link. That's correct.
Just
takes it-
GoGov.
it takes
No
it.
request in owner.
Yeah.
Then you're mixing two databases and we don't.
And by the way, we can do it the other way too, right? Even though it's strictly for service requests, you can put links. So under CROA, we can say
He showed
owner
that.
app or whatever.
Yeah, he showed that, right.
Yeah.
So they're doing that on the GoGov app.
So I have a
Yeah,
question.
I was-
Just from like, because I'm even kind of confused, right? And I think I know this stuff. And so has anybody like done a process diagram or looked at the architecture to like make a visual to show what this is? Because I feel like that's kind of key to understanding what data comes in where it goes to. Like, I don't feel comfortable making a full like decision or recommendation without actually fully understanding it. And usually you have to have the diagram of it.
So Corbin, here's what I can do. I can give you the current workflow diagram for ONR if you go that route. I can create another one that shows what the workflow diagram will look like if you click on the service request and it opens up ONR. I can create those diagrams. The working internals is gonna be different because GoGov sits in its own pocket, right? I can only speak for owner, but for GoGov, it's pretty much just a link, open the app, make your request. That's how it would be. But if you want those diagrams, and it makes sense, we can create them and we can upload them.
Yeah, and I also know you're the only person, so I'm also happy to jump in and help like create that. We can find time, I can kind of meet you, but I just think that'd be extremely helpful.
Do you have cell service, Corbin?
Not that I know of.
I do.
All right, well, that would be a good place to start because it looks a lot like it, but we've been through 3 training sessions now. And in detail as to how this thing works, exactly what are all the fields and how do they route things to where and all that. We haven't seen a high level diagram because we didn't really need a high level. We had enough detail that we knew exactly what was happening from these training sessions. So I'm completely comfortable with how it works. And I can't find a reason why we wouldn't use it. And we're looking for a reason, but we're not coming up with one. So there's a time urgency here. There's a time dependence. I would like it. I'm hoping that we don't go another meeting now. That'll be another month for us before we can make a recommendation to the board because CCDD is going ahead with this. So we want to get in the database now. We want to get all of our reports in the database. There's a whole bunch of categories, like, is this a tree, is a park, a playground item, a
Light, a
picnic
sign.
bench, a sign.
Sidewalk,
There's
whatever,
there's
yeah.
many entrances that have to be mapped to the appropriate person that will receive that report. So, and in some cases, a report could go in more than one place because they're not exactly sure whose it is, depending on what side of the sidewalk you're standing on.
Right.
So on a parkway, for example, some parkways belong to CCDD, some belong to Artisan Park. It just depends on exactly where you're standing. So, but we've seen it all. We've seen how they're gonna handle those cases. And we haven't seen them throw up their hands and say, we don't know how to do it. Anytime we hit them with something, they do it. And they enter it right on the spot while we're having the meeting. So my question to the group is, what more information do we need? I'm afraid we're gonna get constipated on making this decision and their CCDD is gonna move ahead and we're gonna miss an opportunity to get in the database. They're pursuing this thing. We're gonna start trials Friday. We're gonna start trials on Friday, reporting trials, you guys can all be members. There, we'll download the app and then you can go and submit just like we're doing with ONR right now, right? We're
So my opinion is, I don't see any issue with it outside of the confusion that I had with the ordination piece, but as far as the use case for it, there's nothing we can do about it. If you're gonna go either way with it, we're gonna go.
So is there any reason, I'm not chairman of this meeting, but why we can't take this to a vote right now and say that we recommend that we move this direction? Or is there anybody that wants to?
I have questions. I still have a question. Who's gonna do the administrative part of this? Now, it sounds like Jose, but let's talk about an experience. Let's go with the experience owner app. I open it, I need to submit a service now ticket, I click it, it opens up GoGov. How does it authenticate me as a resident?
There's a field, you have to put an email address and your name, and it takes a geostamp.
You register the first time as a user in terms
So-
of who you are.
Think about what you're now saying. Now you have two different IDs, potentially two different IDs. So I'm okay with whatever you guys decide, but somehow the other part of the solution should be
So,
the
just so
ability
you
to
know, right
use.
now, right now, there's people who reserve tennis courts, which obviously is no one in this room potentially because they haven't brought it up yet. Use another app, right? They're not using ONR, right? So ONR is replacing that app, right?
Right.
And then Service theoretically would be replaced by GoGov. There is no link between Service and
owner, no.
I don't think there is a login for, I went on the website, the GoGov website that he supplied, and I submitted a service ticket on there. My name and my email address, he said was required. And that was it, and
Yeah.
it did all the other stuff.
I don't
think
wanna-
you have to set up.
I don't think there's
you
any
have to set- I don't
authentication
think you have to
with
set up an account
Is
for,
it
because you can just do it on the website for Service too.
Just the email.
Yeah,
I think he
well,
just,
the reason why they want the email is because they'll email
Right.
you or they'll send a push notification when it's received and when status changes, which we don't have with Service now. I don't want to question your data on that you gathered so
which
thoughtfully about not very many people use Service.
that I know, I'm just giving you
Right,
my
okay,
little.
yeah, yeah.
We have the data.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
I provided it.
It's a couple hundred a month, tickets get submitted.
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, and
That's right.
And the question isn't who's using Service now, is who do we want to use this app when the technology committee is part of the implementation, we want to be part of an adoption program as well. So, yeah, the two things I see is basically the notification is a big deal over Service when it changes. So it's, people are
But to
gonna do their work.
to Nils' question, as far as my testing of it, there's no authentication login. Just you have to supply information, your email
Yeah,
address.
but that's for the web interface, that's not for the app. The app is gonna require you to have some kind of.
And that's the same with
Yeah, so it's
Service.
same with
I mean, I
Service.
challenge if you don't use Service and you're trying to make decisions on replacing it, I challenge you to use it. So there are different, if you do the web interface, you just have to provide, if you open up the app, you have to set up a login for it. So, I
Now-
mean, I would,
Now, if you really wanna go this route and bypass the whole authentication piece, then you say, owner, click on this link, it's gonna open up the web portal on your phone, and then you can make your submission there, and you bypass the whole authentication process.
Yeah, and GoGov has a web interface too.
So that's what I'm saying, it'll go into GoGov's web interface
Yeah,
from owner.
yes, if they don't have it installed.
What are we worried about in terms of the authentication? This is the problem in reporting.
Yeah, I'm
Tree
not.
Falls Center, we afraid that somebody will report.
It is an issue, from an integration standpoint, it is an issue, because now you're requiring two forms of authentication, one through owner and then one through GoGov.
Yeah.
That was the Neil's point, right? So every time you submit a ticket, you're gonna log into owner and then you're gonna log into GoGov.
Yeah.
The idea is, okay, if you already logged into owner, I should just submit the ticket. I shouldn't have to
Yeah.
authenticate a second time.
Okay.
That's his
Yeah.
point.
Okay.
It doesn't matter to me either way. If that's the route we're gonna go, we just need to define how we're gonna go about it.
Pass those credentials from owner.
Well, and if you,
That's
if
it.
you,
GoGov.
if you don't have the app, if you have the app installed, you've set up your own credentials.
Right.
If you don't have the app installed, you're going to the website, which doesn't require authentication. Am I correct in that?
During my test, I don't know.
So I mean, if that's our assumption, which we could also verify, but I don't think that's I'm with Tom on this. If we need to just motion and like, let's make a decision, let's make a decision. But but then there's not that authentication if you're going to the website. So if you didn't go through the process, like I'm gonna get the app and I'm gonna set the app up so that I have it, so I can keep track of my tickets and bug people because they don't get done. But I've got one that's 2 months old in seller service right now. So like I'm gonna download the app, but if you're not gonna download the app, you're just gonna go to the website. You're not gonna have to authenticate because it's just gonna grab your location. It's gonna put your email address if you want to be notified and call it good.
And not only that,
Yeah.
to your point, even if you didn't authenticate and you used your email, it's still gonna have a tracking mechanism via your email, so you'll be able to track the work anyway. So there's no issue on my end. It's just more of what's the process gonna be like?
We don't know, but we can shape it if we make this decision and we jump fully on board as opposed to just kind of being, 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
So Corbett, do you have any, besides seeing a diagram of it, do you have other concerns, questions where it would stop us from a vote tonight?
No, we're good.
Because Tom's been leading it, he's been in all the meetings, Jim's been there, Jose's been there, and I've been on a couple, so. But we would have some kind of information in order that would just point us to the second, yeah, that's all I care about, is
We can
that
make
some
it so.
information.
Let's make, Corbin, I don't know if you can make it. When was it? 2:00 on Friday?
Yeah.
Do you want us to forward you the next one so you can sit in and then you can ask any questions?
Oh, no, and that you have, and Neil.
Neil, well, I think both, do you guys both want to be invited to that?
Is it
Yeah,
virtual
I could-
or in person?
Speak it?
You wanna go in person?
No, personally, I'm actually out of town, like, after this meeting, so, and I will not have service on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But if there's one
The other
beyond,
thing I'm
otherwise
trying
I'll
to-
wait.
Yeah, the other thing I'm trying to arrange, because, I think Tom's right. I think we have enough information to do it, but we don't have enough information in total, right? I want to get more information. I've asked for a deep dive. CCD said they would do that. It hasn't been arranged yet. But we have an implementer on there. We had a salesperson show a demo. I kind of want to have a engineer or a developer so we can ask a little bit more pointed questions to your point, Corbin, to the back-end architecture, et cetera, right?
Well, the other piece to it is that this requires a board vote.
Yeah.
And we don't know if it doesn't have support with the board, there's information for them to vote for it.
Right.
So I think any more questions or information that's gathered can help with that vote.
Correct.
It would be good for us to get past the first step in it and say, we've looked at this and we think it's solid. And we recommend that you guys adopt this. If the board decides, no, we're gonna overrule you and not adopt it, well, that's fine. We're technologists, we've done the technical part of it. And if they have other reasons why they don't want to adopt it, that's fine. That's
You
their
guys have
prerogative.
any questions?
No, in terms of usability, form and function, no issues. The issue became, are we gonna go with both platforms? Are we gonna inject one with the other so that there's some kind of interoperability? It doesn't necessarily have to be fully integrated, like Kristen mentioned, but it's more of the workflow designed for usability, because we don't want a resident opening app A and app B and making that decision.
Right.
As far as it being a good replacement for Asana, yes, the interface works well. And again, the only thing I was confused on was the automation piece. So
All right, so can
that's
I,
clarified.
do I have a second to call a vote to support?
Second.
Of course. All right, all in favor of approving and giving the committee's approval for the GoGaVat?
I'm against.
Okay.
So when Friday, they're going to roll out the linked, or I guess the name of the app. The app is actually, I was getting approval at the App Store now, if they're on the timeline that they said they were gonna be on. When it's at the App Store, they want users to generate false reports. Okay, it doesn't have to be a legitimate report. You can go report anything you like. They're not gonna take any action based on these reports. They're gonna be fake reports, but they wanna see that they're coming in and they're getting treated correctly and that they're going to the right location. Should it turn out to be a real report someday. So are you guys
I have no
good
problem
with
testing.
being, beta testers? Like, they want as many testers, beta testers as they can get. You guys good?
Yeah.
Corbin? Anil?
Yeah,
Yes, definitely.
I know you can submit some tickets for the park across the street from your house.
hey, listen, I voted against, but I want you guys to hear me out here. We're voting on something we don't understand the security architecture on. I need to remind all of you, our website was just hacked. So keep that in mind when you go to the next demo and the questions you have. That's really particular, because if you're telling me this is open and then you're allowing it to integrate with owner and all of this, just keep that in mind.
No, that's a good point. I think the security part of it later when you talk about the
Because
integration.
we just approved something. We have no architecture diagrams. We don't know what the security that you're telling me we can just openly and blindly submit tickets.
Yeah,
and
they
then
don't have
tie
any
back to
access to,
Chrome.
they don't have any
No,
access
so-
to any
so-
Chrome or systems at all.
So all the security, what we're talking about is the front end submission part.
Yeah.
There's absolutely positively a security model on the back end. We have not asked for it in detail and we will get that information. But they do have security built in the back. And again, I'm pushing for Jose to be the sysadmin in terms of creating.
And we're moving forward with the service request application. There's still the whole owner discussion, how we want to interface, like that's a whole different
Animal,
ball of game over there. So we've approved moving forward, moving service requests off of Service and recommending to go to GoGov for service requests. That's where we're at right
What's your
now.
person's-
Just service
What's
requests.
your person's name and email address?
So even
Just
if
know
you don't go the owner route, at least you still have your service request separate from,
Yep.
you're not
We've
making,
decoupled them.
yeah.
But noted, no, thank you. All right, so let's move on. Let's keep this on time.
So in terms of Wi-Fi and digital signage, I have a holdup because I have some Ubiquity equipment that still hasn't been shipped. This is the nano stations that are gonna be used for the pool alerting system. They haven't arrived, and 2 Dream machines that are still pending. So I don't want the guy to come in 3 times to do the same job if the equipment isn't there. So I'm just waiting on the deliverables, and then once they come in, he'll do the job of completing the setup. Teleconferencing, which is video conferencing. So we got the dual display mount. So now everything sits on one mount. I took the camera that was damaged, and what I did was I took an extension cord, rerouted it from the ceiling to the closet. So if we ever go through any issues, we could always unplug and replug. However, I got a Polycom unit. I'm gonna put it on top of the dual display unit, and you can check it out in room 104. I have a PC now that's fixed into that whole setup. And going forward, that's gonna run in real time in parallel with the Yealink. If the Yealink goes down, guess what? That camera is the one that's gonna be doing the live stream because it has the facial tracking and the motion sensors and all that. So
Yeah, and Anil came in, him and I came in on Saturday with Jose and we went through the rooms and
So the new display
Great stuff.
unit was installed, Anil.
Awesome. And by the way, I saw the test you run at the last board meeting. It was great. And then you switched back over. So you saw the difference. So that was great. Thank you.
We tested this out and we discussed it prior to putting it up as a fail-safe. We just, during that time, we didn't have the equipment because they were using it at Heritage Hall. So ONR, Academy Row, service area is getting trained tomorrow. They already have the app installed. There was 2 issues that we experienced. One was with Tom, with the editing of the profile. The other one was, a submission request for service, right? It froze up on the individual. The resolution was uninstall and reinstall the app and then it worked. So, same thing just happened with Tom. It varies on phone models. He has the latest and greatest. The person on the Academy Road Committee had an Android phone. But outside of form and function, it works well. I haven't heard any other negative responses. And now I'm adding, what's the next one over? There's another group that's in the service area committee that's gonna be added as well, new training. So my hope is that you use it, you know, there's a tech committee group chat. You can chat amongst there. You have the forums, so the open forum so that everyone can see. So if you want to take a nice picture somewhere and send it out. There's also the amenities reservation. Now, I don't recommend you doing any amenities reservation, but you can look at the screen, see if it looks palatable, if it makes sense. Just
Does
give
it
it
show what, when I looked, there was no amenities in there reserved.
No, none were reserved yet because no one's used it.
So how do we test this?
You could make a reservation. What I'll do is I'll change the dollar value to 0. And that way you don't have to charge and use a credit
Yeah.
card.
So if we already have people, if we already have people using this, if we're rolling this, though, we can't be testing still, like
No,
that's.
so we're rolling it out, we're rolling it out as test groups. So Academy Row is a test group.
Okay, and they're aware that they're just
Just
testing,
Yeah, they know that
right?
they're just testing. An
Okay.
email was sent out to them informing them that you're just a test group.
Okay.
So, yeah. Any concerns?
I just have
Greg
one
has-
question.
Technological, yeah, the technological savviness of our residents varies greatly. So
They're being
if
trained
they,
tomorrow. so.
if they're getting on an app and just making sure it's like abundantly clear that this is a test group pilot, where we're deciding, your feedback is important because it'll move us forward, like as we, you know, but just making sure that we're not rolling it out with like service requests when we're not gonna do service requests in their reservations, but you can't see what's already booked. Like, there's a whole lot of things that are gonna be
Right.
confusing.
So I'll make sure that, at this point, I'm just gonna disable the service request function.
Okay.
That's fine? I'll disable it and then we'll just use the basic.
Well, you asked us to test this and I think it's a great idea. I'd love to test it. But I just want to know, test what? What are we gonna
It's
test?
usability testing. Just
I
making
did
sure-
the UI.
So I mean, I've tested every screen that I can possibly access and tried everything that's in here, but but there's things like an amenity or other. I'd like to access every function,
Okay. So
but I don't want to create, chaos somewhere where somebody's
Yeah.
receiving these reports.
Well, the only person that will receive it is me.
Do we
Okay,
have like test scripts
Okay.
that people can follow, like do this and like go through, like, this is your objective?
I
Now go
could
do it.
create something and send it out.
so could you send a consent out, for approval? Can you generate a fake, survey so that we can
Yeah, I
respond to
can
this
create all that
survey?
stuff and then. just
And we
have
can
it.
see that the surveying function works.
We'll do a vote. Vote Jim.
Yeah, the ratings.
Vote for Jim.
How many minutes should we limit Jim to talking?
In the ratings screen, where does that,
So that's really tied to the service request. So there's in the admin side, there's enable rating system, and then it also has like a question column, question answer column, where you can rate the level of service. So that's really
so can you do something so that we can rate it?
Yeah, I can create something.
Yeah, so
Would you still do some, if we're not doing service requests and there's the ratings still applicable?
We could disable that altogether. You don't have to see.
Or is it for like, I'm going to the town hall counter and I'm gonna rate something, like what is the exact function of rating?
The ratings is really tied to the service request.
That we probably don't
Yeah.
want it in
Now-
there.
from a board perspective, we approved the owner app to replace the
Right.
scheduling app, right?
The rec, yes.
Yeah.
But when a person shows up at the desk, and he wants, to get his card renewed or something, or he wants to get his dog approved, the dog park, is there a location for that person to give a customer satisfaction report as to how happy he was with the service they got at the desk?
We can add it, but it's not there.
But he'd have to make a request then, right?
You would have to make the request either way.
What do you mean?
Well, no, he doesn't have to
No,
make a
Well-
request,
no
because he's
How
just,
would he-
he would just voice, so on the owner app, there's a section where you can do votes, ratings, surveys. So we can put a report or survey, and they could just click on it, and, they could select from a drop down and say, my experience with the front desk was, and they could type what they want and submit. and then that'll get routed
So
to
you can
them.
also send them a notification back to the app and say, please, give us
Please-
feedback.
If you want to
Please
tie
make
it back to
experience.
what the issue was. or
Right.
what
We
the
might be
question
getting
was.
too into the weeds here. Let's
Yeah.
start with the
Okay.
functionality
Yeah.
that we have. So like ratings is tied to service requests, disable ratings. We can talk
Right.
about adding
Yeah.
like customer satisfaction surveys
Well,
later,
I'm
but
already out of gas though. I've exercised every screen on this device.
But you like the UI? I mean, your UI
Yeah,
feedback.
the UI is when it works.
the
We
question I
had a
have is
couple
like,
where it didn't work.
so you said to use it for the technology chat, but then we also have Teams. So what should we be, like, now we have
No,
two
no,
things for
so,
the same.
so, when I say use it, I created a group, it's really just idle chat, that's what they use it for. So basically, if I'm a resident, and of course you're a resident, I could say, hey, let's chat in private, you could just use that directly from
Okay,
there.
so it's not
And we
like
have-
the technology.
I just
committee,
created,
like,
so I
okay.
just created a group,
Yeah.
right, I didn't have to create it, you could have created it, I
Gotcha.
just created a group and
Yeah.
added everyone so they can chat.
Gotcha, okay.
It's, I look at it from the perspective of the resident using it and not us as. a
Yeah,
group.
it's like, artisan bike group
Yeah,
or whatever,
exactly.
like.
It's like
yeah.
filling our porch,
Yeah.
just form
Yeah.
more quick.
I like it.
Owner's porch.
My confusion was just for like official communications versus like,
The real
this is
porch.
just, yeah.
Yeah, I really use it.
At real porch.
Yeah, I had replied.
I chatted with Anil and he's given me feedback and, that part works.
Should we didn't talk about that, but Brent asked us about Monday.com and if we use that as feedback on it, we
So
want to use
I,
that.
I was showing Tom earlier because we was walking into room 104 so we could look at the new thing. Project management is a big pricing point, but it's across the board. So I developed the whole framework. So now what I'm doing is I'm injecting all of the projects and tasks that we're doing. And then I share it with the rest of the team. All of you will have view access only. And then at that point, any changes that need to be made, I'll just make it myself. The idea is that once I do that, I also create a dashboard, which I showed Tom. The dashboard would allow us to look at progress being made for each project. There's a budget associated with said project. All the tools will be there. Workload distribution amongst myself and Andy for each project, and in any updates. So that'll come soon. It's a lot sooner than you think because it's already.
Because it's nice, I mean, they go to GovMe and put notes in or anything.
Yeah, and
So
we can upload.
Corbin can
files
log in
stuff
and
like that.
see, he was curious about that, or
Yeah.
if we have a diagram.
But the framework has been built. I just finished the last set of trainings today.
So we still need a secretary and a treasurer.
Apparently, we don't.
Okay.
We were told when we started the group that we do. I talked to Lauren, I think when Jose was with me, and she's like, no, you don't really have to. So
All right, well, last 3 minutes, anybody open items, think they want to bring up, burning ideas? Other directions,
So-
projects?
So I know, Corbin, thank you for introducing us to the gentleman. So we got a.
Insight.
Yeah, we're inside. So we have a meeting with them scheduled?
I think so. You responded back to me.
Yeah, I did.
Did you set it up Friday? I think we might need to push it to next week, but yeah, they're looking forward, or Michael's looking forward to chatting. So I'd say we can open it up if we want.
Inside the company.
Yeah.
Out of Arizona.
Are they out of Arizona, Corbin?
I actually
They
don't know where
sell
they're out of.
hardware,
I think
software,
they're,
licenses.
Services.
yeah, all of our
So, yeah,
stuff
they-
comes from
they bought some
Chicago.
server companies.
What is inside?
So the idea behind this is to look at out of the box solutions for, just have a different perspective on solutions.
They
that
do
we-
integration, so
Integration of products and stuff like that, so.
they're a big reseller.
Basically, Yeah, what we'll normally do is we just do a general conversation, pitch different ideas that we're working on, some of our challenges, some of the opportunities that we see. They'll listen and then see what products or services may align with that.
Ken. There's on the left side. Left side. Yep.
Okay, I want to bring up,
Right side, sorry.
I had a meeting last week for an hour with Brandon Casadino from Beep. So last year we did devote some cycles going to Lake Nona, riding their autonomous bus. He just reached out to me, asked for some time. I got a PDF. I don't think we should show it at the board, but basically, he just wanted to let us know, within 2 years, 2025, they're gonna have a autonomous bus that goes 40 miles an hour. So it's real new technology, and that could be something down the road. If we know the landscape right now is a little challenging, but could like take us down to the new Publix and take people there and back and with charge a fare, blah, blah, blah. So just wanted to let everyone know that I had that meeting. I have a PDF if anybody's interested in seeing it, with the.
And the 40 miles is specific for the use case of doing things, the high school
On Celebration Boulevard,
and, and to, Island
Right,
Village.
some board members, they were very interested in doing that, so.
That gets you to Disney too. I think 40 miles an hour could get you to Disney.
Yeah.
Because it's 30 at World Drive.
No,
I
it
think
it turns
it's
to
going up
50.
until you get into Disney, it goes up to 50.
It does the 50.
Yeah.
We need a gondola here, Corbin, get on that, would you?
I mean, that'd be a
Can you
huge,
just
like,
hack in?
you want to get your usage up.
Or
that'd be
just hack
huge.
in and say, put in those, yeah.
And Bill likes driving his Porsche, so he wouldn't use the gondola.
Corbin got fired? What? How'd that happen?
About living the happiest place at
We
least.
kept Jim to a
There you
minimum.
go.
I
Anybody else
kept
have
me to a
anything?
minimum, let's be clear.
All right, so the next meeting, September 6th.
Hold in the meeting.
I move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn?
Second,
Second? All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
don't get too wet out there.